with like a loop at the end that's like wrist size. I didn't know about the wrist squeezing incident. I had no idea. And so I'm like cleaning up all the trash from his backyard because he just like when he does those food reviews in his backyard, he just like pushes it off his glass table and just like throws it in the weeds. So I was like cleaning all the trash up, and I'm like, "What's up with this like paracord just like hanging from this tree right here?"
Hello. We are in part 4 of this interview with Bludspeth and his Nova Online's former ex BFF. Pretty much the only actual friend that Nova actually had, maybe probably outside of like maybe like friends that he had when he was like in third grade or whatever. I had no idea this series was going to be so long. I tried to edit as much as possible, but I find everything said here is like so interesting and integral to the whole thing. I don't know. I can't find things to remove outside of like 2 or 3 minutes out of like every segment. I don't remember what was said in this interview anymore for the most part, outside of one part that I don't know where it comes from. I hope it's in this video. I would hope to finish this series in this very same video, but I'm not sure about it. But I'm waiting. Oh, I'm waiting for that part. You'll see. You'll see what I mean. In the rare instance that you don't know who Nova Online is, in which I could probably ask, "What are you doing in this video?" Um, on Nova Online, infamous internet degenerate, as far as I can remember. He became a little bit viral on TikTok because of a series of videos making like food reviews and stuff like that, and his soup onion like meme. I don't remember the timing of everything because it all happened incredibly fast. He's very young, by the way. He just turned like 22, I think, like that, something like that. It's so sad to ruin your life already so early on, irredeemably, pretty much. But I learned about him in Smokey NCC's channel, who talks about lolcows, and I saw him and I started learning everything about him, and I started learning his first steps into his infamy back then, a couple of years ago, not so long ago. And everybody started to discover very quickly what kind of a disgusting degenerate he actually was behind his quirky "Can I get a soup onion, please?" big chungus personality. To me, alongside Tofiachu, weirdly enough, because they have kind of a beef. Well, Nova has kind of a beef with Tofia. I don't remember Tofia even acknowledging him, but they both are, in my head, the personification of modern internet brain rot. If you ask me how that looks like, I could point you to either one of those or both, because they both personify it in slightly different ways, but at the same time, they all encapsulate everything that I imagine how somebody who is the incarnation of that word, brain rot. I'm not gonna get into Tofia right now, but Nova is very young. Nova has proven to be stubborn, ignorant, compulsive. He is addicted to immediate gratification, and he severely lacks any actual identity of his own, weirdly enough, being such a unique character. But is he so unique at the end of the day? I don't know. He encapsulates what I imagined brain rot to be as a human being. There you go. I don't know. You see? You could go on and on and on and on describing him, but the main things that make him such an infamous person and not just another brain rot zoomer in the whole bunch of them is his rampant degeneracy into diaper fetish, furry fetish, and aggressively predatory pedophilic tendencies. That's it. That's what has him in the place where he is right now. We're gonna see the interview with the only friend that was actually trying to quote unquote fix him and be like his like big brother or whatever. Last video we left off on how much of a liar his ex-friend discovered him to be, going as far as to lie about some stranger on the internet being his brother just so that he could get some kind of sympathy or whatever, because he said that his quote unquote brother suffered a ruptured heart or whatever, exploded into like 70 different pieces, and was in a coma or something like that. Turned out none of that was true. Weird. Okay, listen, I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we talk about it in that last phone call, and he still never addressed it. Does this guy
Explanation for
know
him on
about
that?
Nova's girlfriends? Did Nova ever bring them up? So for the majority of the time I knew Nova, he mentioned him being in like a semi polyamorous relationship with like.
Of course, he's into polyamorous relationships. Oh my god, I've had several friends. I'm sorry, I've had several friends who are or have been. I'm not sure anymore. I don't. I try not to get into that too much with people that I know. But I've known people into that kind of style, like polyam. First of all, I've mentioned it several times already. I'm not conservative. I considered myself slightly more leaning into liberal than conservative. Probably a little bit more than a little bit, you know what I mean? That liberal than conservative. But that is one of the things that I have never been able to wrap my head around. Polyamorous relationships, that can't possibly work. I know that this is complex, but I like complex subjects actually. And I know it's a fantasy. I know that in your head a lot of us wish we could have like all the hosts we could possibly want, right? Or like vice versa, like women could have like all the men around her, just like craving her, and her being like the queen and whatever, all these kind of things. But yeah, but that's it. That's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. It just shows you how immature a person is in regards to the way they view themselves and how they see like the world works, but especially how like human beings actually work. And this is why I bring it up. I just want to take the opportunity to talk about it now, because yeah, I understand one thing. It's true that it's difficult to make a couple work in a long period of time because we tend to make a lot of mistakes choosing who we settle down with. For the most part, we are thrown out into the world terribly immature, terribly unprepared, with horribly misguided misconceptions and expectations, and we make horrible decisions choosing a partner. We had parents who most likely experienced something similar to that, so we fail. But that has more to do with a poor upbringing and poor education more than how people actually work. That is the thing that all of these really immature people tend to point out and be like, oh my god, you see, oh my god, it doesn't work. Why am I making Tofia voice? I don't know. It came out. To an extent, yeah, sure, I guess you could juggle around it and make it work, like in some cultures where that's actually kind of a norm. But consider how many rules polyamorous relationships tend to need. I would dare to say you need even more restraints and rules and a lot of more paraphernalia to make a polyamorous relationship work. with like, I don't know, one guy and like five women or vice versa than with a couple with just two people. For a very simple fact, sending a message to somebody else that you want to settle down with them is a sign of, first of all, maturity. Technically, I know what a lot of people are gonna say, but visualize it in a psychological way. Technically, you are establishing maturity because you are sending the message that you settle down. You have made a decision. You've shown security and stability, making a decision so dramatic as this with somebody. You now made a step into real adulthood. You can make an important decision now. And also, affectionately, is infinitely more significant when you show that you want to share your intimacy, your emotion, your private life with somebody else, with a specific person who is above and apart from everybody else. They're special. There's something special there, something you don't have with anybody else. And that is extremely flattering. But if you share that with three other people, then, then it becomes a game of, well, who is actually more important now? This person or me or the other one? There's always somebody you're gonna like more. There's inevitably you are going to have the factor of jealousy and all these kind of things. You're also showing that you're undecisive, you can't settle down, etc., etc., etc. It's not actually progressive or whatever. These people, like Nova, only show off how much of a child they actually are, how much they live in a fantasy world. I'm not here to preach of how people should live their lives or whatever, anything like that. I'm just venting here because these are things that I never have a chance to talk to anybody about, so I just put them here. It's okay to have fantasies. It's even better to live in reality. Moving on.
I think one of the people was trans and lived in like Montana or South Dakota, and then another one lived in like California.
I'm not
But then like later
surprised.
he mentioned him like only having one partner, but he never explained like he never even acknowledged the fact that he like just stopped talking about like one of his theoretical partners. So that's about
Mm-hmm.
the extent I know about them. I know that like one was potentially trans.
Yep, it just
He
goes
told
with
me
the
a little bit about like the
stereotype.
career field of the other partner, but outside of
Mm-hmm.
that, that's pretty much it.
Just for practicality's sake, can we all just agree to the fact that it doesn't matter how intense and or how quote unquote close or whatever your relationship is. If it's online, it doesn't count. It's not, you don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend if it's online. Can we all just agree on that and move on? Because it gets crazy. I know we're living in the internet era, blah, 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 whatever, but oh my god. Moving on.
You never divulged any more about his romantic life?
No, and honestly, I think a lot of the time he used it as a crutch because people would bring up like, "Ooh, like look at this weird thing Nova did," and he would be like, "I have a girlfriend" or "I have a whatever,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's a pretty convenient cop out to have if people are throwing accusations like that at you.
Okay, okay, I understand. I did want to mention or ask you about that one guy from Hawaii who you said regularly buys Nova stuff, sends him gifts, and kind of looks up to him in a way. Could you tell us about that?
I like noticed Nova wasn't like being active in the Discord for a while, so I kind of assumed like something was he was like talking to other people, whatever. So I like started messaging him privately, like, "Hey, what's up? Like, what have you been up to?" Or maybe it was like he got a gift. He said like a fan sent him a gift, and I asked him about it. I can't recall exactly, but that's when he explained like, "Oh yeah, I've been talking to Hawaii, this new guy, for like a couple of weeks. Like he's been sending me this stuff. Like we've been talking in
Mm-hmm.
Discord," and I was immediately concerned, just because like, oh, I hope this isn't someone like just trying to get like in with Gabriel to like fuck his life up. Which I mean, sure enough, that happened, kind
Mm-hmm.
of. like a few months later. But so then I said like, oh well, hey, if you guys are like talking all the time, like let's just get in a group call, just us three, and I'll like talk to him, and if he's cool, I'll just add him to the server.
Not the
Um, and
server.
so I had like a I don't know, 10, 15 minute conversation with him, and he's like a pretty alright guy. Seems pretty normal.
I don't know how normal you can be then. Matter of fact, just by that statement, I wish somebody was monitoring his internet activity and his real life activity too. I don't know. How can you idolize? How can you express yourself idolizing somebody like Nova? There's no way. At least this guy, Nova's ex-friend, never expresses any kind of worship towards Nova. It's always kind of the opposite. It's always very lecturing and very confronting even. That is why I sympathize with him a little bit, for the most part. Even though I feel that he lacks judgment in a lot of ways. But, I don't know. Like, nobody's perfect. So, I mean, I don't want to put myself on this pedestal high ground of being like, oh my god, look at you. No. But this other person, no way, dude. I know they are out there. I know there's a lot of people who actually sympathize with all of these like degenerates, and it's for exactly the reasons that you are imagining. And that is why, for as cruel and mean and whatever it might seem to do, the things that A-logs do and all these people do, even myself to an extent, by doing this video itself, I feel it's justified. Because if you don't do that, nobody is there to make them face any kind of consequences for the things that they do. Look at Nova. Yeah, he gets depressed and cries and gets paranoid and stopped a little bit, maybe. But next day, he's like, well, today we're gonna try the new barbecue rib from whatever place. Bon appetit. Like, Jesus.
But yeah, he definitely seems. I don't know him super well, so I don't want to just so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. But from my perspective, it seems like he kind of idolizes Nova a little bit based on the things he said. And then of course it appears that he continued to buy him gifts. They continued to talk, but
What kind of gifts did he get for Nova?
so I think he bought him for sure Pokemon cards. I'm like pretty sure the like Hawaiian gummies that he got a while ago were from him. I'm pretty sure the like carbonated circle bottle is from him, but that one I'm not sure about. But I think it's
Those are not troll gifts. Those are sympathy gifts. Ew.
fair to assume that a lot of the little gifts he was saying were being sent by fans in that period were from him. But I don't know specifically for most of those, just a few.
And as far as you know, are they still in contact?
I wouldn't doubt it. Where does he get so much shit? It's because of people like that. Ew. Ew.
I would assume so. When all that stuff came out like 2 weeks ago, just out of respect, I messaged Hawaii, and I'll just read it. I said, "Hey man, I decided to remove you and Nova from the server
Not the server.
due to all this stuff that came up with him. I'm not saying you did anything wrong, but I can't justify associating with either of you, especially with all the other people in the server who aren't even aware of who Nova is. No hard feelings on my end. Thanks for hanging out with us in there." And yeah, so that was the last time I talked to him.
Okay.
But since then, I don't recall, but Hawaii was in the not good server, right? I don't remember. If
I don't
ever
even know his
verified that.
username or anything, so I mean,
Oh.
most likely, but I wouldn't know. If you want to send me his username or his profile, I can double check. But I would definitely assume he was in Nova's Discord server. We talked about this a bit before, and it's in regards to his income, how he supports himself, quote unquote. I mean, of course, he just wastes all the money he gets. But do you know what his main income sources are? I would assume it's Cameo, Does he make money, a decent amount of money off of TikTok or YouTube or anything else?
Other perverts and idiots on the internet.
The only time I've heard him mention income has been Cameo, so I don't really know if he's getting any or what amount of money from TikTok or YouTube. I would imagine it's not a lot, just because most of his videos don't do crazy well.
Mm-hmm.
But that was also a point of contention, just because like you have this person who like is publicly complaining about like money problems. He's like publicly talking about like how there are disagreements with him and his mother, over finances because his mother believes he like isn't contributing enough. Like he's posting all
Mm-hmm.
this online, and while he's doing this, he also has his Cameo business and his Novacord business. So like these things that he's saying are gonna, be factors in terms of people who like may be willing to like purchase like a Cameo or a bracelet, and that really bothered me just because it's like you're complaining about money issues, and then you have 100 something cameos and backlogs. Like you have people in your TikTok comments who have paid for cameos, and you're just not doing them. So it's just that was something I would bring up to him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like, and that was another thing. I'd be like, dude, how many cameos do you do today? Like, how many cameos do you do today? Like every time he would tell me he had this large backlog, I'd try to like message him every day or two about it to make sure he's like knocking them out. But I don't think he ever really adjusted that.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised if he's still like just letting cameos expire.
I mean, it's what, 30, 40 seconds per cameo? That's a lot of money to just let expire. 30, 40 seconds, you get 20 something dollars. That's insane. And
No,
he
yeah, and
consistently let it expire?
I mean, if you are lazy enough, you can be even more wasteful than that. But this is the way his mom educated him. Never have to face consequences or responsibilities or anything. I don't want to go too much into his mom, but very mature. I didn't mean it like that. But what was I talking about? Uh, Whatever. I don't want to go too much into that, but he was raised that way, basically. Moving on.
there are times where I think he was complaining about like very specific sums of money he needed, like publicly. Like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
need like $700 for this, or like this many dollars for this, and it's like, dude, you have it is right there, it's just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But so like, what are you doing? Like,
Did he say anything about that question in particular?
no, he never really explained. I mean, it would always just hit me with like, oh, I've been just so busy.
Mm-hmm.
And to that, I would always say, busy with what? Like, literally, what have you been doing? And, it'd always be like, oh, I've been cleaning this week,
Wow.
or something to that effect, which,
Mm-hmm.
again, is obviously a lie.
Mm-hmm. Of course, of course. And you mentioned Nova complained about getting in an argument with his mom about whatever. Do they argue a lot from your knowledge? I'm sure he complains about it a lot to you.
They definitely, I don't know if they argue, but there's definitely a lot of disagreements they have where, like, consequences are hung over his head. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it's like, dude, you're and I don't like to say it, but you're like freeloading off your mom effectively. Like a normal, healthy 21-year-old adult would be, disgusted by the idea.
Mm-hmm.
But like, nope. It's for him. It's just like an expectation of how his life should work. So it's just like, this is how it should go. Anything I'm asked to do past that is like a hindrance. It's unfair.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my mom wants me to contribute rent to like the house that I've lived in as an adult for the past 3 years. Like, this sucks.
My
And again, like
goodness.
I would explain to him like, that's just how it goes. Like, just buck up. Like, make the cameos. It's not that bad. And I would always reiterate, like, do you know how fucking lucky you are? Where like all you have to do to get $2,000 is like read a couple of sentences and like make a video in bed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's insane. That's extremely fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's one of the things he takes for granted. I never mentioned this to you. I'm assuming you don't know, but there was an argument between him and his mom where he like punched holes into his door. or it was either his door or his wall. But yeah, like mid argument, he punched holes into the home. Has he ever told you about that? Do you know anything about it?
No, I've never heard anything like that.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just
No, no,
it's
of course.
never been brought up. I never thought to ask.
It adds up to the accusations that he experienced later on. They actually make sense with like, the type of person that he is and the personality that he has. Those rage bursts where he kicked his dog and then the dog died. It just adds up.
That seems. I will say that like that seems like something Nova might say. Like he tapped the wall with his fist. I think another good thing to bring up here is the wrist squeeze incident.
The wrist squeeze.
Oh no! Here is this it? Tell me this is it.
Squeeze.
I think
Oh
it's
my
another
God.
good example of like how his brain maybe functions, but like most adults can recognize. Let me say this. So the first time I came to Nova's to help him with his yard, we go in the back and there's a paracord hanging from a tree.
Oh yes, it is. Okay, brace yourself. Oh.
With like a loop at the end that's like wrist size. I didn't know about the wrist squeezing incident. I had no idea. And so I'm like cleaning up all the trash from his backyard because he just like, when he does those food reviews in his backyard, he just like pushes it off his glass table and just like throws it in the weeds. So I was like cleaning all the trash up and I'm like, what's up with this like paracord just like hanging from this tree right here? And I should also mention the branch was like maybe 6 feet high. And the string, like the loop where it's funny. It is funny from an objective standpoint, but I should also say like it's not funny. Suicide is never funny.
No, of course not. But him making a
I just
mockery.
don't. Yeah. No. I just want to make sure I cover my bases.
Yes, of course. Glad you did.
But yeah. So, but in the loop, the paracord loop was maybe like 3 or 4 feet off the ground. So I was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Oh, that's from a really dark time in my life," or he said something to that effect. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because it's like, it's not a noose. Like everyone knows what a noose looks like. That's not what this is. And he's like, and then he explains like, oh, I tried to like, end it. And I was like, how? Because I was like looking at it, I'm like, how? Like, what is I understand what you're saying and I understand what I'm looking at. I don't see how they connect.
God.
And he's like, from squeezing my wrist. And so I'm like thinking,
Sorry, good.
I'm like, okay, so it's tied to a tree, which makes me think he was like hanging from the tree, but the loop's only like 3.5 feet, 4 feet off the ground, so he's probably seated on the ground. So he's probably just like sitting on his butt on the ground with his wrist in the air, like it was like really tight.
Oh my.
And so I can't recall if I told him then. I'm like, I don't think that can do that. I don't think that works like that.
Oh my.
Which. So the question is, did he know that? The question is, was this all an act for himself? Like, again, there's only 2 options. Either he's like so unintelligent, he legitimately thinks that could have ended it, or he just wanted to say,
It's both. It's both. I can assure you, it's both. He is so unintelligent that he feels he could use that as a story to tell later on. It's like, that's from a very dark moments in my path. Like,
like, oh, I like attempted, and then like he could then in the future use that to like empathize with himself or like get empathy from other people.
yeah, exactly.
A follow-up question to that is, how long was he sitting on the ground before he was like, I'm gonna make a change? And like,
Oh my god. So
I mean, my assumption is some part of him understood that like that's not gonna do anything, but he just wanted to be able to say like, oh, like I tried this. I'm a warrior. I fought through it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That's all assumption. I don't actually know his thought process going into that event.
No, dude. Don't try to be so humble that you know that is exactly what
But those are just based on everything I saw and the absurdity of it. That's just what I'm assuming, is that some part of him knew like this isn't doing anything, but from this point forward, I'll be able to say like, I beat this.
My goodness. So, as far as like from everything you saw, if you had to paint a picture of what occurred, you'd say that Nova sat in a chair with his
I think he
like
sat on the
on the
ground probably, but maybe a chair. If it was a chair, that's probably worse because that would mean his wrist is at like chest level.
okay. So he sat down and like put his hand through the loop and just kind of sat with it until he decided to get up.
Well,
Is
like
that
I don't. It's either that or he was like holding him, or he was like on the ground and like holding, like trying to lift himself up by his wrist with the cord. So maybe he was like doing like a lat exercise, like trying to like put as much pressure on his wrist
like
as
a
he can. Like it really
pull-up?
doesn't make any sense.
What I'm picturing is that he wasn't really sitting. What I'm picturing is that he was laying down with his arm like hanging. You know what what I mean? Like I picture him putting all of his weight on the arm and expecting that to like have any kind of dramatic effect. He always does that though. He always does goofy. Why does everything has to be so laughable about Nova?
If you're trying to like maximize the pressure on your like the arteries in your wrist, like that's what you'd probably do.
Yeah,
Because like if you're hanging by your wrist, like all the force is going to be going like up your hand. It's not going to be applied to your actual like artery. So it's either like he just tied it to the tree for fun, and he just tied it to his wrist really tight, or he was like in some form hanging from his wrist while like sitting on the
Incredible.
ground.
Oh my god.
you just can't make this up, dude. And you said it was what, only 3 4 feet off of the from the ground, the noose.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
That
it wasn't a
is
noose.
so
It was just a regular knot.
fun.
It was just a regular loop.
Okay,
But yeah,
okay.
the branch, if I remember right, was like 6 feet off the ground, and the paracord was like 3 feet down. So like yeah, it would have.
Jesus Christ. It's incredible. How can somebody like that exist? But I picture him laying on his side with his arm extended up with a paracord wrapped around his wrist. For a time, I didn't know what the wrist squeeze incident meant. I thought it was figurative or something like that. Or it meant something else completely different. When I learned that this was it, oh my god, I lost it. This is the part that I remembered, by the way. This is the part that I remembered mainly about the interview. I'm not exactly sure. I don't really remember clearly how it ends or anything like that. This was the part that I remembered. How could you not? The common opinion is that he does a lot of those cringy, embarrassing things for attention, which is true. I agree with that. But the thing is that he does those things and most likely even more in private, alone, for himself. That's the thing. How can you be so laughable and embarrassing, even like, well, you could say in private for yourself, you tend to do the more unhinged, embarrassing things. Oh, yeah, well, there you go, which makes sense now. But something like that, like, that is not like when you see in like movies, like a guy dancing like to a Britney Spears song or something like that, like for yourself, and you actually release the inner goober, right? But this is not it. This is an actual quote unquote attempt that he was doing performatively to himself, which means actually thought he actually thought this was more dramatic and like more, he thought it was going to have a different result. He is actually so unintelligent that he thought he he could attempt something like this, get a more dramatic result, and then use it for sympathy bait. Be real, dude.
Okay.
It was at like chest height or lower on me, like the actual loop where his wrist was.
Oh my goodness. So he's what, 5'8"? That
Oh my
means that
God.
it would be
He's only
like at his
5'8"?
chest, maybe the loop if he's standing up. Is
By
that accurate?
making
Would you
these
say?
videos, I'm learning
Yeah, I mean,
feet measurements a little bit. And
I didn't.
5'8",
Maybe I
it's
should have
like,
just
because
out of
I know I'm
curiosity
like
asked, like,
6'2", so 5'8", it has to be like, well, it's not that bad actually. It's like, average to short.
reenact it. It just probably seemed a little inappropriate at the time.
No, that would be yeah, inappropriate. Jeez, to say the least. You can't make this up, dude. That's fucking hilarious.
But I remember I asked after that, I'm like, okay, why is it still up? Like, why are you leaving it here? Like,
What made him this way? What is the attraction? What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of Nova Online's paracord wrist incident.
again, it's just like, dude, if you're trying, like, life isn't easy, but it is simple. Okay? And so, like, if you're keeping a reminder in your backyard of the one time you were allegedly super sad, so sad you wanted to end it,
Fat
like,
boy.
that's not going to be productive for your life moving forward to, like, look at that every day.
With that specifically, has he ever kind of talked about ending it, quote unquote? Of course, he never tried to. Has he ever talked about it with you? Any other attempts, quote unquote? Use it for sympathy, maybe?
No, and based on how he talked about that event, I think he would have brought it up because I think the 2 year anniversary just of that event came up like a couple of months ago,
Yep,
and
February 14th.
he made everyone pretty aware. So I think if there was another attempt, he would have told a lot of people.
And yeah, so the only other attempt, as far as you know, or baiting, whatever, would be after the call where you severed ties with him, and he uploaded that on his community post tab.
Yeah, that was the only other time I've seen him mention. I mean, he's made comments like, his Discord. I don't know what the little thing is on Discord where you can like make a little
The
text
status.
bubble.
The status.
Yeah, like that. That was constantly cycling through like.
Now that we have like the actual like details of it, I will agree that is the funniest thing in regards to Nova like ever.
The visual of imagining him like sitting on the ground with his wrist in the air and then like getting this look of like triumph while he takes it off is funny to me.
Like this self accomplishment.
I'm not gonna give up, I'm gonna make it, I'm a survivor. Jesus Christ.
I can't believe I survived.
I made it out.
God, man, I would kill to see that.
I am interested to know like how long did he sit there? Like was it like 2 minutes? If like really any number would be funny. Again, not that these.
It was probably like 2
No,
minutes,
of course.
but in his
But,
head
like,
it was like
idea
3
of
hours.
just sitting on the ground with your hand in the air for like what if it was like an hour or 30 minutes?
He does not have the attention span for that. Come on.
Maybe
30.
he fell asleep.
Maybe.
3 hours.
So, do you think
Fat
he just
boy.
kind of like got up as soon as it started getting sore?
Surviving.
There's more life to live. Just kind of gets up and takes his hand.
Yes,
I really-
absolutely.
Like I don't even know if it would get sore.
Oh my god. Because it was so low to the ground. My goodness, you just can't make this up. But back onto the actual interview. You talked about, you wouldn't let Nova in your cars if he smelled too bad, if he didn't clean himself up.
We did say that. We never actually held him to it, which
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's a regret or not, but there was never a time where he didn't have a pungent scent, despite us telling him to like not do that.
God.
Was there ever a time he smelled at least like normal? Like a regular person on the street? Not
There's
bad,
times he
not
smelled
great. Just...
more normal, I guess, but not really.
Okay, I think I'm gonna end it here. I feel that that's that's pretty much enough. I went a little bit overboard with my commentary, as I tend to do, so I'm gonna try to see if by the next video I can finally finish with this interview. This is a good high note to end it. Fucking hell, Jesus Christ, dude. Oh, fuck. What can you add to that? Like, nothing. Nothing really. That's it. Nothing. It's. You heard it. What can I say? Well, bye.